And we are live. Hello and welcome to Molby On The Spot here on our new YouTube channel at Anfield Index. And I am joined, of course, by the Liverpool legend, your friend of mine, Mr. Jan Molby. How are you, Jan?
Excellent, Trevor, and good to have you back.
Yes, mate. I was in a bit of a bad way there with the old back. And to be honest with you, this isn't me. This is some sort of drugged up version. So I'm
really?
liable to say anything, buddy. We'll just we'll see where it goes. But for now, we'll crack on. There's so much I want to chat to you about, man. So many different stories, and we can't really do anything other than start with the big thing that has happened between now and when you and I last spoke, which is the Trent story. The timing of it is fascinating. Really fascinating. I think I've put together, or most people I think have put together why it happened the way it happened. But I'd be very interested in your take, because you're in a position to hear things that we mightn't hear. Let's just start there. What did you make of? Let's just take for granted he's going. Most of us knew that was going to happen. Let's just take that out of it. The timing of it, the nature of it with the video and all that kind of stuff. What did you make of the whole thing?
Oh, you're asking me. You're asking me about the video, Trevor, and you're asking about things that kind of belongs on social media, and you kind of know how I feel about most of them things, yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do we? I don't know. I look at that video and I go, was there really any need? Where was the clarity in that in terms of from the fans' point of view? And yeah, of course, he said all the right things in it. This is the most difficult decision I've ever had to make, blah blah. In terms of the timing, Trevor, I don't know what conclusion you come to, but I just wonder whether there was a momentum building towards more and more people thinking he was staying. We had the celebrations after the Leicester goal. Then we obviously had the celebration when we won the title against Tottenham, and I'm hearing more and more people. And again, I didn't see it. I just didn't see what other people were seeing. And I guess sometimes you see what you maybe want to see, don't you? I think we've described the Leicester goal. What did that look to me? It looked to me like somebody who just scored a goal that might win the club that you love. Yeah, I know that's a big word, but it is his club, innit? Win the title. And at Anfield against Spurs, he celebrated like somebody who just won the Premier League for the second time with the club he'd been at for 20 years. I just didn't see anything other than that. But there was some momentum carrying, wasn't there? People had seen all sorts, and Trent had been in discussion with people, and you had lib readers, and I was totally distant from all that. You know what I mean, Trevor? Because I just didn't see it. There's been other incidents where you kind of see things that doesn't come through in it. But in this, and I said this a while ago on the show, Trevor, remember, if he wasn't going to go to Real Madrid, Trent, it would have been some job the Trent AlexanderArnold family would have done on Real Madrid, wouldn't it? Because Real Madrid had believed for a long, long time that he was coming. And I know that because I've probably done Real Madrid 3 or 4 times this season in the Champions League. And you speak to people like we speak to people at Anfield. You do the same with Real Madrid, and they all went, oh no, it's okay, he's coming here, And I have no reason not to believe that. But I'm interested in terms of where you landed in terms of the timing and what significance you put on that.
Well, you've brought it somewhere that I didn't think of, and as usual, it's a really good take because you're right. There was momentum building. But what has happened in the interim is we've heard this story about how Real would like to have him for the Club World Cup and how they're willing to pay a little bit of compensation to Liverpool for the joy of having Trent a bit earlier and released from his contract before the 30th of June, because that competition starts in June. So if that was going to break, then he had to get out ahead of it, because otherwise, why not do it on the last game of the season? When we're all still a bit high from looking at pictures with a trophy in it. Or why not do it when he was the hero and had clinched the thing and could go out in with that as his like final impression that he made, instead of a really lackluster half and then, you know, sighing an emotional video where he talks about the club he loves and all that crack. The hardest decision ever. So I wonder, Jan, maybe I'm too cynical, but I wonder, would that have, does that make sense to you, that that could be at least part of the reason that he had to get out ahead of what was going to break in terms of, you know, the club wanting, his new club wanting him early?
Yeah, I mean, there's every reason for that, and you know, that is a fact, isn't it? You know, that's not something we're making up. A lot of times we try and guess, but in terms of that, we're not making it up, are we? I mean, Real Madrid, this is a massive tournament for them. This World Championship, it's a massive tournament for Real Madrid. It's a massive tournament for their president, isn't it? You know, I mean, they're taking it serious because they kind of see themselves as, you know, we would also like to be the first club to win that title, isn't it? And that's how they see themselves, isn't it? You know, I mean, going back all the way back to the 1955 or whenever it was that the European Cup / Champions League started. And so it's a big thing for them. And of course, they're landing Trent Alexander-Arnold. They're not going to go and play in that tournament without him. That's for sure, isn't it? Because that's just not how Real Madrid do things. You know, to be fair to Real Madrid, when they turn up with everybody, don't they? You know, they always play them all because of this, like Harlem Globetrotter sort of, you know, feel they have about themselves, isn't it? You know, people who come to see us and we turn up with all our players. And so, yeah, maybe that is a reason. I don't quite know whether we'll ever get to the bottom of any of this, Trevor. I just sometimes feel that years ago it was a little bit easier, wasn't it? Because eventually somebody would sit down with a reporter, and whether that would be the written press or TV or radio, and the player would then tell the story. You know, and I guess we're probably never going to get the privilege with this whole Trent thing. You know, when did it all start? I mean, I saw somebody suggest that this started 4 years ago when he signed his contract, and Liverpool never stood a chance. You know, that he was always going to look to do something else. Then there's obviously the timing. People talk about the international break in March is when he informed Arne Slot that he wasn't going to be at Liverpool next year. So, but again, it's well-informed journalists who are writing these stories. But we would like Trent to say it, wouldn't we? We would like Trent to look at Trent while he tells us in it, because there is so many fascinating things involved in all this, and also. And whether he would ever be that honest, I don't know. But whether he also, during this time, ever thought, well, I can't do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to change my mind, or, you know, it is fascinating. I mean, so I think if you'd have gone to Real Madrid 10 years ago as a Liverpool player, you kind of go, well, okay, we're not at the level. Fair enough. But now we are at the level, aren't we? You know, and that's another disappointment, isn't it? You know, we are almost Real Madrid's equal. Not over time with the European Cup, but over the last few years, we're equal with them now, isn't it? And I guess that's another thing that maybe hurts a little bit. 10 years ago, fine, yeah, off you go. We can't compete at that level, but now we can.
That's a really good point. A lot of people talking about how, you know, at least he's not signing for a rival, but what are Real Madrid if they're not rivals and for European supremacy? And we'd like to think we're going to be still there. And maybe with the learning process, Arne Slot's next big win will be in that competition. That's what we hope. But, you know, if you're to listen to the rumors of who Real Madrid are going for next, they're not just going to stop there. They've been linked with our centre-half Kanate. They've been linked with Saliba. You name it, they're linked with them. So it's going to be further accruing.
You know why that is, Trevor? Because there's a general feeling that the president puts a squad together at Real Madrid, yeah, and he's come under criticism because he's ignored the defensive side of the squad. And you know what it's like? It's the same reason that most managers get the sack, is that once the owner / chairman come under pressure, they sack the manager. That's like kind of their get out, isn't it? So now he's coming under pressure because he hasn't put the squad together the way that, I'm not sure Ancelotti cares, but the way that the Real Madrid fans look and go, you left us short. So, and I said this, we did this on this show, Trevor, when somebody said to me, Real Madrid should sign Virgil van Dijk on a free. I said, it's not Virgil they want. It's Konate they want. You know, perfect profile, young. He's now coming up to 12 months left of his contract. That's who they're going to go for, surely. If they're going to go for any Liverpool players, it's going to be Konate, isn't it? And here we are, being linked with not only them, but also PSG, who are probably also starting to look for the replacement for Marquinhos. You know, so what do we do then, Trevor? Because we can't afford this to go on. You know, I know in terms of Trent has not cost us 50 million in transfer fees and whatever, but we can't afford our better players to walk out the door for nothing, can we? So unless Konate is ready to commit, we have a decision to make with 12 months left in his contract.
I think that might be one of the ones that is going to turn people's heads a bit this summer. I think there's a real call to be made there, and apparently they're quite a ways away in terms of the valuation, what Ibu thinks he's worth versus what the club is willing to give. Now, again, limited information here that we have. It poses it's not a massive problem, but it poses a scenario for Klopp here, this Trent thing. Because now that it's been so publicized, and as you said, all of that little momentum that started to build about will he maybe stay, it completely flattened, that bubble burst. Do you see a situation where he plays again now between now and the end of the season? See, this is where, and you know, do you see a situation where he takes a fulsome part in the parade and all that type of thing? And I mean, you'll have insulated yourself quite a bit from the worst aspects of this, but let me tell you, there's a lot of Trent's a rat type of conversation going around, and I never can go towards that end of things. It's a young man's life. He can do what he wants with it. But I will say that I think most of us have been very disappointed in the way that he's gone about this particular move. So that's where an awful lot of people's begrudgery or animosity is coming from as well. I think that's reasonable. I think that's understandable. It just poses an interesting situation. I wonder, are you right? Was he doing his celebrations on the pitch that day? Because, you know, maybe he's not going to be as much a part of it now between now and the end of the season. Put your gaffer hat on. What would you do?
Yeah, I would play Conor Bradley because I think we don't know what potentially might happen in terms of reaction towards Trent. Now it's official, but we did see a little bit. I was at Stamford Bridge last Sunday, and I couldn't. But at Leicester, when he came on, you could hear some unhappy Liverpool fans, and then that whole end started to sing Liverpool, Liverpool, Liverpool to kind of drown out, you know, the disappointment there was from some fans. So I don't know what it was like at Chelsea, and I don't know what the people said. So if I'm Arne Slot, I'm thinking, I don't know what the reaction's going to be. So we can take that out of the game by not playing him. And also, it's an easy excuse, really, isn't it? You know, Bradley's fit. He needs to get his body prepared to play games. So it would be an ideal situation to give him 3 and a bit games, because he had a bit of time at Chelsea as well. And so give him 3 and a bit games to finish the season off. You know, in that, there's nothing worse, Trevor, than finishing the season injured. I know Bradley's not injured at the moment. There's nothing worse, you know, when you finish the season injured. You want to finish the season playing, don't you? You know, and then, because then you kind of whole summer becomes about the next season, don't it? But sometimes when you finish the season injured or whatever, the summer becomes about rehab and other things, isn't it? You know what I mean? So I think it'd be important for Bradley to play the last 3 games, and then he'll finish the season and go, and now I can play a couple of games for Northern Ireland, and then I'm on the break ready for the next season, isn't it? So, yeah, I think it would make a lot of sense to give Bradley minutes, but also maybe taking that risk out the game that there might just be a reaction. I mean, the bit I'm hearing, and it's people I meet, you know, they're still talking about the Manchester United game in January, you know, and Trent's, and it was a bit of a bizarre game for me, that, because we had a studio on the touchline, so I was in the studio before the game, and then during the game, you sit in amongst the crowds. Normally, when we commentate, we sit up with earphones on, and you can't hear. But I was sitting sort of in amongst the crowds with Freddie Lundberg, and it was actually Freddie who went, "Wow." I went, "Yeah, this is getting a bit tasty, towards Trent." So there's still people harping back to the Man. That's when it all starts. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, having been a former player myself, I kind of sometimes go, all the poor kid did was have a bad game. We've all had bad games in it. And that's how I'd always like to excuse the players. Bloody hell, the kid had a bad game. It happens to everybody in it. But there's a lot of people who won't let that go, isn't it? They won't let that one go, So, as I said before, Trevor, it could be so much easy. Get him on here. Get him on Anfield Index. Come on, Trent. 20 minutes, 20, even if 20 questions, you can only answer yes or no.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think you're right, though. I think it's the risk of something going a bit sour, of it being a bit ugly. I think they'll want to manage that, because nobody wants that. It's just, regardless of how strong you want to feel about the guy going, I think you and I have always said in this, it's a short career. You're going to do what you're going to do.
Yeah, but Trevor, you're pissed off. I can see that. And you're an intelligent guy, aren't you? So you can kind of weigh the two up, can't you? And you end somewhere in the middle, and you go, well, okay, let's move on, isn't it? But not everybody's that rational, are they? So it is a bit of a risk to play him, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could get a little bit ugly, and like I say, nobody wants that.